Hey guys, welcome back to another 1.19 Skyblock episode. So our plan for today is to add a podzol block storage to the podzol farm in case you want to get podzol blocks. Because right now we can only push the blocks towards a blast chamber where they, when get blown up, will be converted into dirt. And it's really not feasible at all trying to mine the podzol blocks while I'm inside of the farm having to place saplings. If I would start dual wheeling, then would first of all run into the issue that I tend to actually punch out the saplings I just placed. Then I would actually need to place the saplings against the dirt blocks, which I also kind of try to mine. So it's not really feasible to do it with dual wheeling all in one go. That's why we're gonna add a block storage. So we basically just grow trees, create podzol, then stop the farm, and then in the second step, we're gonna mine the podzol blocks with Silk Touch, with Insta-mine, so it shouldn't take too long. Alright, then let's also check out some of the progress I made on the actual podzol farm. So I added a convenient bubble elevator finally to it. No longer do we have to crawl up some scaffolding here on the side of the item elevator. We got this nice setup here, the bubble elevators. Also added the downwards bubble elevator. But here I feel like it would have actually been better if I would just have like a drop chute and jump on a whatever slime block maybe, or honey block, or whatever doesn't cause the player to take fall damage. Alright, but added one more thing. I also made it a bit more convenient now to get inside of the podzol farm. So I expanded this platform here, added some stairs to get up, some carpets to walk over the redstone. And we can now get into the minecart just by jumping down here. Although, should maybe place a couple of blocks so there's no danger to fall into the void. Now we can click the minecart, get close enough. There we go, and we're inside of the farm. And I even added a switch now that can be reached from inside of the farm. This was the pretty much only spot that was available there. But yeah, now we can turn it on, and then I can start placing the saplings here. It's even better to get out. You can just use the trapdoors here in the back. I can crawl under the honey. I might actually need to check. I think I actually have enough push limit left. I can probably just add a trapdoor here similarly at the back of the honey block. Get inside the same way. Oh, this should be possible. Okay. Then one more thing I added is also now the switch here. So we can swap between sending the blocks to all the blocks to the blast chamber, or swapping to sorting out the podzol to be sent towards the future block storage, and the stone gets still sent to the blast chamber. Okay. Then what I also did, but there's no switch for it, is then the automatic on-off switch for the bone mealing system. So if you follow this line here, so this is the on switch for the dirt farm, which is in the block here. But there's also this redstone dust line that goes to the bone mill system. So it turns it on, and it also redirects the water stream. So the bone mill will be sent to the dirt farm. Okay, so all the things around the farm have been built. Now let's actually head to creative and work on the actual block storage. Alright, so here we got what we worked on the last time, the block sorter. So all the stone will be pushed into the blast chamber, and all the podzol here can be pushed to the side into the blast chamber. I already started making one, but for what I had in mind, we have to redo it a little bit. But I just want to show you a basic one, but it doesn't have storage for a lot of blocks. That's why I want a better one. Okay, so we got our podzol blocks coming in here. Push them over. Basically just along this line here until they reach the end, and we push them up and over in the end. If you have a setup like this, unfortunately here we need to use a block update detector, so we couldn't just like have a repeater on the side and power the block, because of course we would already power the piston here directly with the repeater. That's why we have this block update detector zerotic thing. Just keep in mind, we still pushed in a block every 4 ticks, so those pistons here at the bottom also need to be zero ticked to push out the blocks quick enough once the last block arrives here. Okay, so here we got the setup. Basically what happens is this block is getting powered by the redstone block. We have a block up detector as soon as the block arrives here. We push this whole structure away. Then this redstone line here in the back is no longer cut. We power all of the normal pistons, but we have to remove them being powered again. And yeah, we do this by basically pushing the slide block back and forth within the same tick. So yeah, as soon as the piston here extends, the redstone block will also be removed, and it's no longer powered. Then it's getting updated by the piston here in the back. Basically, this piston is also getting zero ticked, and then this single block gets pushed over, and then we push it back immediately, also with a zero tick. Get out here. Now, of course, you can always only quick move or zero tick or short pulse one block in front of the sticky piston. The rest of the slime block structure moves slower. Takes 3 ticks for them to arrive or until they can be pushed back. That's why we got also the setup here on top that pushes back the rest of the slime block structure. It's basically also the way how you can deconstruct the slime block structure if you wanted to. Separate slime blocks again by just zero ticking a block and then pushing it somewhere else before the rest of the slime block structure can arrive. Yeah, this way we zero tick the normal pistons here. Okay. Then, yeah, eventually this would all fill up, and then we reach the top here. And now speed is no longer important, because every 48 ticks, now we would push in a new row of blocks. Now we can just use observers here as soon as the top block arrives. We just push everything forward. Yeah, if we do this, we could fill in 12 by 12 by 12 blocks. That's 1728 blocks in total. By the way, also the amount of items you can fit in a chest. 1728. Definitely a number to keep in mind. Yeah, but in case we actually push in blocks here at full speed, the block storage would already be filled up after less than 6 minutes. In case of our dirt farm, it would also be filled up in less than 15 minutes. And there's actually not a lot of storage. It would be quite annoying. After 15 minutes, you have to stop the farm again, mine, because the block storage is filled up. So I want something larger. I actually already have a bigger block storage that in this case I hooked up to a tree farm that I made a couple years ago. But now I feel like I have an even better idea than using this block storage. So here the idea was they were using block conveyors to push the blocks even further there until they reach the end. In this case, you got like 60 blocks or so. Then push up all the blocks and then push them over. And because it takes a lot longer to fill in like one row of 60 blocks, we can get away using actually a flying machine to push all of the blocks over, because this saves on pistons. It would be quite expensive to have such a huge piston wall, and he would just fly the flying machine up, push everything over, and fly it back down. Okay. Now, I was working on block conveyors back when I made this. Those definitely get simpler if you make them a bit slower. So that's why we actually split up the logs here. Half gets pushed this way, the other half gets pushed that way, and we fill in the block storage from 2 sides, so the redstone gets a bit easier. That's actually a pretty good approach. Here we can easily store more than 10,000 blocks already. And this would be perfectly fine, I think, for a podzol farm as well. But I have an even better idea how to, first of all, make an even larger storage. That should also be a little bit cheaper. Alright, so let's go back to our initial cube maker / block storage. So I thought instead of expanding the piston wall here on the side, either with flying machines or just by placing a ton of pistons, why not take the full cube of 12 by 12 by 12 blocks and push it down? So if we push this down 100 blocks, we can make the next cube and push this cube down and basically have 10 of those cubes on top of each other. And then technically we could still push it, the whole 10 cubes, could push those somewhere else with flying machines. So here we just need some pistons here on top to push everything down. And of course the timings are quite important. So as I said, it takes about 6 minutes to fill the whole cube at full speed. But of course, we get a slice here roughly every, I think 40 seconds or 50 seconds. So the flying machine would need to fly down and back up in 50 seconds if we just use a single cube maker here on the side, which doesn't give the flying machine much time at all. So for example, fly down 100 blocks and back up needs roughly 2 minutes. So that's why I thought we could maybe just alternate. So basically fill a full cube with 1 block storage, and then instead of pushing more blocks in here, we just redirect them and push them into another block storage on the side. And then just basically alternate. And then we get the full 6 minutes to push a full cube down until we need it again. And that's definitely enough time for the flying machine. So if you would build it on top of the world, and you could fly a full 250 blocks down and back up and store like 20 of those cubes on top of each other. So that would already be 1728 times 20, roughly 35,000 blocks. And since you need it on 2 sides, it's already 70,000 blocks. I think this would be enough podzol. Even with insta mining, this would probably take you like 90 minutes to mine. I think they're in a territory like 70,000 podzol blocks. It's not just for podzol, but it's just in general. You can say, okay, running for a couple hours is fine, and now we go mining again instead of every 15 minutes. All right, now just the setup here wouldn't really work. So because of QC, it's definitely easiest to have a setup where we push the blocks down. So we would have like strips of alternating honey and slime like this. Would look this way, and then we just need to power the slime blocks. Like this. And then also the pistons under the honey would be powered. And we can even power the other pistons through the honey by QC with this. And then we need just a self-returning flying machine here on the top. And can push this down. Okay, so we can even have this within this 12 by 12 footprint. But with this setup, we already have the issue that some of those slime or honey blocks would pick up, or get stuck basically. It wouldn't even pick up, would just get stuck on this setup at the bottom. So we have to rearrange it. By the way, like pushing it to the side would also be an option, but there it's much trickier to make it work with this alternating setup because of QC. And in the same way, actually pushing the blocks up would be like even harder, because there you can't use any QC at all. You have to power from below. So that's why we want to push down. It's easiest to make it work with QC, to have really this flush piston sealing. Okay, so in order to prevent those pistons here from sticking to the flying machine, we could either actually just have the pistons with an offset of 1 to prevent any sticky blocks on the side, but kind of want to have it flush, because then it just looks nice in the end. So that's why I'm actually not completely removing them and just use a different layout. So instead of pushing up rows of blocks, we're just gonna push over columns of blocks. So all the blocks will be incoming here, then they get pushed down. Then here at the bottom, we would also have the advantage that we can just use, again, just powering the bottom block. As soon as it arrives, we'll power those pistons here on the side. So that's much simpler than the block up detector solution we had to use over there. Okay, that's already one advantage. Then just let's see, we need to still use a smart piston here. It also gets 0 tick to push the blocks down. Where can we actually get the blocks incoming from? I was thinking maybe from the back here. They will be pushed over from here. Then we can maybe also definitely need a non-sticky block here. And also a non-sticky container, like a hopper. Over here. Power the block. And here we definitely need a glass block, so the piston doesn't get triggered. Then we can probably just go up and over like this. Oh yeah, need a block so the lines don't merge. Let's power this and add the second piston. Okay, that should work. Everything coming in from here will be pushed down. Okay, yep, that should definitely work, and then we can push this whole, everything down here without it sticking to anything. This is actually a really good example to show the locationality of redstone dust again, like we had in the last episode. So if I place a block here now, we would power this redstone dust line, trying to power all of those pistons, but not all of them will fire. So what we get now is that the bottom piston will extend, then the one above doesn't, but yeah, the other two here on top again do extend, and the ones above don't fire again. So what basically happens here, we place the block, and then this redstone dust updates those two pistons first, and then the next one triggers, removing the power source, and then they all turn off. And this doesn't give the other pistons enough time to turn on. So what we now need to do in order to avoid those issues is just adding the block event delay again, like we did it last episode. Instead of powering this line directly, just gonna power a sticky piston again. It pushes away a block, which uncovers doesn't cut the redstone line anymore. We're gonna hook this up directly there, push the block over and directly back in the same tick. And then we got the 0 tick here for the other pistons. Okay, so that's always the way to fix this block event delay if you have issues like that. Okay, so now with this setup here, the whole line will always fire. One more interesting problem we actually have to solve is determining when the last slice is being pushed in, completing the temporary storage. So we could either have a counter, just every 12th time we push forward here, we launch the flying machine and redirect the block stream. But I feel like it would be actually better to detect it directly, in case somebody is a bit over eager and just maybe mines all of the remaining blocks, so this is half filled, and somebody mines that anyway, then of course the counter would be messed up for next time. So what we couldn't do is just to power a block, because then of course this flying machine would get destroyed by that, unless we remove the power source. So maybe with a detection system. Okay, now we got the output, now we can launch the flying machine, maybe push that block away. That would be maybe one option. It's not too hard. Could also do something similar with a glass pane or a fence, because it actually changes state. So once the podzol arrives here to any other block, this would cause the observer to detect it. But of course this also sticks to the honey here on the side. So we could also pull this out and just push it back in once the flying machine is back up. I think this would even be a nice solution as well. Then I could also imagine maybe we could use a butted piston. So we have a piston basically in this state, where the power source is removed. And then as soon as a block arrives here, the piston arm or head gets updated, the piston retracts. And then we don't need to worry about it getting stuck to the flying machine. And once the flying machine is back up, we'll probably just maybe have one extra observer here and just send a signal over, get the piston back into the butted state. I think I actually prefer that way of doing it. I actually went for the glass pane in the end, so as soon as a block arrives here, we'll pull out the glass pane and get a signal. There we go. And then once the flying machine is back up here, this observer will just push the glass pane back in. So next problem is to actually make the flying machine now to push all of the blocks downwards. And this got a little bit harder than I thought it would be. I already spent 2.5 hours here finding a good pattern. So it's really not trivial. I tried 2 patterns already. So a checkerboard pattern like this looked quite promising. But right now I actually went back to the striped pattern here. So an issue I'm having all the time is actually to get around those observers here that we need to power the pistons below. So for example, for a setup like this one here, we need 3 observers on the slime part, and then 2 observers on the honey, or 1 observer in the corner here. So those would be covered by the slime blocks that are powered nearby. Okay, but if I add now the sticky piston there to push this module down, I quickly run into the issue that I need to power it itself. So I can't just put an observer here, because if that gets pushed down, then it would get pushed on top of this observer, which triggers it. And before this piston can actually push down this segment, those pistons extend and make it non-movable. So it's quite tricky. So if we were to try maybe to merge two modules like this, go bridge over, can't put the slime there, same issue, would trigger the observer when I push down and even stick to it. So where do I put the observers now? So I could maybe try to place them here on top and then update the pistons there by QC. But that's also not trivial. So I actually came up with kind of a working solution by going up one slime block here in the corner and two honey blocks there with this setup. But here we have huge issues like that we need to get the update order right. Like I can only push this module down if this next to it already got pushed down. So right now I got a promising approach with the striped pattern here again. Looks like this. I always have two on the honey and two on the slime. It actually seems more promising, but I'm still not sure if that's gonna work out. I might even try this approach here again, that we maybe actually also do something similar. Have two on the honey, two on the slime, always alternating. Maybe that's a bit better, because then we would always have the space here. Yeah, now we can actually just a sticky piston. Did I just figure it out while recording? Sometimes it's just good to talk about it. Now we need to go up by one. Then I could have the observers there. And I can easily connect this. And here we need the same, but we can maybe even use honey instead. Because still, we don't need to power through the block. The QC is enough there. So then we could just combine it here at the top and push this whole module down. As I was really talking about it helps. I think you just figured it out. Yeah. This actually seems quite good to me. Ah, that's a bummer. Like so often in the last 2 hours, I got really close to it. I think, okay, now I finally got it to work, and then I run into an issue. So with this pattern here, we have two problems in the corners. So if you look at this honey corner here, the piston below would be powered from the adjacent slime block, but the very honey or the very piston in the corner here doesn't get powered from anywhere. So if you add another piston there, we have the same issue again. I can't easily place the observer on the side. I already thought about maybe just using more slime here, power it like this. Then I realized we had push limit 13. We got 5 pistons, 5 slime blocks, and 3 observers on top. Ay. It's always not that easy with this setup here. Maybe I'll try something else. This actually almost works as well, except at the very end where the pistons under the honey don't get powered. That's also unfortunate. So close always. Wait, was it actually that simple? I think I got it. I just shifted the observers over by one, so we don't have those honey corners anymore. Or we actually got observers on the honey corners. So basically, I just moved the observers from here to there on every of those 2x2 modules. Seems like just solved it. Everything here should be powered. And I can still easily push this down. Oh, finally we got it. Oh, if this is gonna work out, then it's gonna look real clean in the end. But I'm still missing one thing. We also have to place like obsidian here. So in the last step, the flying machine doesn't pull up the modules. So we need definitely one here for the honey block. Then we need one from the slime. And of course, those obsidian blocks shouldn't be in the way of the flying machine above. I think I can just place them all the way here. Always on top of the observers, so we can't pull it up. And it's easy to launch the flying machine. Because imagine all of this would be one block higher, then I just can't push down the top module. Okay, but this is looking really good. And of course we also need a obsidian here on top of those. But this is actually not in the way of the top flying machine. This is gonna be the self-returning one. Yeah, it's looking really good. I'm gonna finish up here. So it definitely does look really clean. Now let's see if this can fly. Let's launch it here. Oh yeah. Sweet. See if it also returns. Yep, it's looking good. Ah, here it got pulled up. I think I just forgot an obsidian. Yeah, no big deal. Can easily fix this. There you go. Obsidian on top. Yeah. And it should work fully. Okay, let's launch it again. Can always only tell if a machine really works if you launch it twice, so even better 3 times. This looks really promising. I love this. This would, by the way, also be like expandable, so you can make it as large as you want. I think the minimum size would be something like a 4x4, but you can make this 100x100 if you want as well. So I put the finished flying machine on top of the podzol cube, and now we basically just need to activate this once we push in the last slice here. I also decided to not use the glass pane version because it required us to have like blocks sticking out to the side here. I have the sticky piston that pulls away the glass pane, and I really want to have like the next block storage right over there, just with a gap of 1 block in between. So we can have the next model as close as possible to the other. Okay, so I switched over to using the body piston. Yeah, I can show it. If we put in a block, this is gonna retract, and then we get an output here. There we go. And once the flying machine is back up, we power this line here. And then we basically just push the redstone block down, give an update to the piston, and we will just pull the redstone block back up. And then it stays extended like this. Okay, more progress has been made. We got now 2 modules right next to each other with 1 block gap in between. And I added some space for the actual block storage at the bottom. But there's also some dividers every 12 blocks, which shows how many cubes have been pushed down already. But we're not finished yet. I still need to figure out a couple things. So what happens is if we fill up a full module now with blocks, is that we launch the flying machine. So we send a signal up there, launch the flying machine. And quite important, also here we send a signal to the switch here. So this is the same system we used for the podzol farm itself already, to either push the blocks to the blast chamber or not. So if you want to push them into the left module, you have the block here below. It allows this piston to get triggered as well. But of course, if the module is full, we need to basically pull out the block, and then all of the blocks would go to the right. Okay, now it's just a question if it's quick enough. So I'm a little bit worried. Basically, we just push in the block, push in a whole column of blocks. Once it's filled up, we push over the whole slice. And then as soon as it's filled up, we need to change up the direction where the blocks are getting pushed. But this is probably gonna take, I don't know, maybe 1 or 2 seconds until the signal actually arrives here. And in the meantime, we push down more blocks here all the time. So there's a little bit of a delay we have. We definitely need to be quicker than filling up a whole column of blocks, because if this gets pushed over, it's gonna stick to the honey block here. So that's something we need to keep an eye on if that actually works. So hopefully the timings work out, because it might be a bit tricky to make it quicker. We'll have to see about that. Yeah, apart from that, it's now time to test everything if it really works. Okay, time to turn it on for the first time. But at least this is looking good. Also quite satisfying to watch. Okay, but I gotta wait for like 5 minutes until this is completely filled up. Okay, so 1 more slice. This is the big moment. Actually gonna slow down again a little bit once we reach it. Okay, now we push forward. This piston here should retract. Yep. Now we start sending the signal over to this line here. Pull the block back. Now we actually push it in. Let's see how many podzol blocks got pushed in the side here. Not that many, so this is actually looking really good. Now the blocks are being pushed this way. Okay, so that's actually, all looking good. Flying machine also got launched now, and it should push the first blocks down. Let's run it at normal speed again. So there we go. That's a little bit laggy, but not too bad. Probably mostly for the client. There's a lot going on, and recording on top. Okay. So the podzol will be pushed all the way down. In the meantime, we just fill in the other module. Okay, I can also speed this up. Let's see. So there should definitely be enough time for the flying machine to fly all the way down and come back up. Here it goes. So it's back up, and this piston is butted again. Okay, so in the meantime, yeah, this is only filled up to third, or yeah, not even half. So we could technically, yeah, make this a lot larger. So there's now enough space for 10 of those podzol cubes. So 20 in total. That's 20 double chests of podzol. Or other blocks we put in there. I think this is enough, so we don't need to make it even larger. Okay, then seems like it worked. I'm gonna wait, see what happens on the other side. But we're almost done. One final thing we need is basically a detection if the storage has been completely filled. And I'm not entirely sure how to do it. I think a good indicator, because here is really tricky because we got all the blocks being pushed down multiple times. So something like we did before with the body piston, we will trigger every time we push down. But I was thinking we could maybe, every time we launch the flying machine, activate a clock. And if the flying machine has to return pretty quickly again, because it's already filled up that much, little time has passed. So we could just check how long it takes for the flying machine to fly down. And if very little time has passed, then we stop the whole thing. So this will, or not this thing, the podzol farm in this case. So I think that's actually one way to solve this. Alright, the second cube is being pushed down. Flying machine is about to change directions. This is actually so satisfying. Okay, there we go. And it goes up again. Okay, and also actually talk about the moss blocks. The stuff I built around here. So each of those cubes that we have now is exactly one chest. It's kind of nice. So the idea is that we could maybe mine it layer by layer. So that's why I got the moss blocks here. So if maybe some podzol falls to the side, it would just land here on the moss blocks. And we also couldn't easily fall to our depths there because we got the dividers every 12 blocks. So we would mine a whole cube, and then we can just drop it down here into the water at the bottom, and we got chests to pick everything up. Okay, this is also accessible. We can just walk through here, and there's also a bubble elevator to get all the way up. Oops, I think I haven't updated the water. Yep, I still need to do that. Okay, so the last thing has been added as well. We got this clock system now. So, in case we launch the flying machines, we send a signal up through those lines here, and also trigger this hopper clock. So that runs for roughly 25 seconds, which keeps this block here extended, or the piston extends the block in here. Now, if the flying machine returns and powers this line, while this is still extended, we get a signal here, which in this case just turns off the observer clock that places new podzol blocks, but this would just go to the dirt farm instead. Okay, so it's almost filled up. Let's do a quick tip warp. Maybe another 400 tricks or so. Check, yeah, okay, so any moment. Yeah, now I placed some obsidian blocks here at the bottom, so this is basically the last cube that should be pushed in. This is still extended. Now the flying machine goes back up. And we trigger this line. And why does... oh, there's still a lever attached. Okay. Yeah, and then it stops. Okay, so if the flying machine can fly further down, then this block just retracts before the repeaters try to power this line here. Okay, so instead of sending this to the command block or the observer clock, we just send it to the dirt farm instead and turn that off. Okay, so this is ready to be built in survival, but let's check the material list first. That's actually a little bit scary. We need like 10,000 glass blocks. So they nicely encase the farm here, kind of prevents items from falling to the side. Not super necessary technically, but I think it's actually just nicer if you have some glass around. Some blocks we definitely need. Oh, there's actually one missing. We definitely need, for example, a drop chute and so on. So this, my little furnace array is gonna be a little bit overwhelmed by this, I feel like. Anyway, it's still doable, but yeah, there's so many things we need to upgrade. We need the cobble farm finally, because there's like 5,000 cobble we need for the servers and pistons. Or even more. Gotta AFK a bit, yeah. The rest we should have. Honey farm has been running a bit, we got 4 sticks of honey. Okay, yeah, it's gonna be a bit of work to get those materials and then also build it. Okay, back in survival, my pickaxe is already down to 250 uses because I was AFK mining the cobblestone we need. And I added now a storage for the sand to the sand farm finally. Previously I just took out sand out of this chest here. It was actually designated for the TNT crafting, and now I added storage slices without sorting, just for the sand so we can get enough glass. Okay, gonna bring over the first batch, but I guess I gotta do 3 or 4 trips to get all the glass. It would have taken over 3 hours to smelt all the sand with the furnace system we have, that's why I just added a second one to it. So I wanted to get all the obsidian we need for the mega storage, but it turns out we are kinda out of obsidian here. There's maybe some loose obsidian there that hasn't been sorted yet, yeah, a little bit. But not enough, we need a bit over 7 stacks actually. So I was thinking we could maybe just use the crying obsidian variant instead. Basically I just need a block to stop the flying machines and so on. Yep, that would work as well. Yeah, the bartering system here is maybe something we can also update next episode. Because I wanted to get some concrete powder anyway. So we probably also wanna use up our gravel that we have here, so we can do more bartering. At least like a sorting system would be nice. Now that we have comparators, could maybe upgrade this slightly. So time for a huge progress update. The setup has been built. As always, I wanted to make a time lapse out of this. Took me a bit over 2 hours to build all of this, but I'm kind of making a little bit of a habit out of pressing delete here when I get this little pop-up from replay mod saving replay file, because like 80 or 90% of the time, if I just quickly join a single player world or a server or a creative world, I'm recording, but there's no point really saving this. So in order to save some disk space, I press delete instead of just clicking on done. And just out of habit, I press delete again. This happened now the second time in the series. In an early episode, I already lost the replay file this way. People in the comments told me I can still recover it. So I looked into the recordings folder, checking if there's maybe the matching file, but I didn't find it. So that's a bit unfortunate. So I don't have a recording, unfortunately, of me spending over 2 hours building all of this. So I decided also now where to build it. It's just right next to the dirt farm here, directly above the villager trading setup, which is down there. So we got the huge storage now here on the side. There's also already the block conveyors to build up. They will bring the blocks up. And we also send a signal down now if the storage is full through those stone walls. Okay, this will basically automatically turn the dirt farm off. So once we get the signal through the walls, the block is pushed down, and then we lock the comparators here, which completely shuts off the system. Okay, everything has been built. It's actually just time to try this out now. Alright, so let's grab some saplings. Let's toggle sending blocks to the storage and get into the minecart. There we go, and turn on the farm. Oh yeah, those saplings are wasted. First, actually, stuff is getting cleared. We already have blocks being pushed out. Technically, yes, maybe get a little bit of stone. Okay. Yeah, but this won't be sorted yet. Okay, just gonna get ready to place new saplings. Oh, where am I? Yep. Yeah, podzol down. Saplings placed. Okay, now we can check what's going on here. Okay, now we get the podzol. Yep, this is going this way while stone is going that way. Now we just need to check if everything goes up as planned. So here we got the block conveyors that push upwards. They're a little bit complicated because we need to work around QC. Not just like power a piston that is getting pushed in, power a block that is getting pushed in front of a normal piston. Because yeah, we have issues with QC because you basically permanently power the piston. But it goes really quick. Probably should get ready to place saplings again. Yep, just in time. Okay. See next batch. We don't get any sound here in a free cam. It's all looking good. Yeah, any moment this will be pushed into the block storage. Definitely want to keep an eye on that. Going this way. And over. And to the splitter. Okay, gonna fill the right chamber first. Do we need to place saplings again? Almost. Didn't get the one in the back. Okay, still grew. Okay, let's check again here on top. Yep. So the chamber is getting filled. Perfect. And now it should take like 15 minutes to fill all of this. I think I'm just gonna make a time lapse of the block storage being filled at least. This is actually also nice to look at. So the stone sorter works. So the only blocks that are getting pushed towards the blast chamber now are the stone blocks and always the 4 spruce log blocks. Neat. Okay. Definitely want to show the first cube being pushed down and then gonna have the time lapse. Any moment now. And there we go. Flying machine launched. Okay, super glad this worked so far. Because if you make the slightest mistake, let's just place one block wrong, then the flying machine usually fails horribly. But it's looking good. The big cube is getting pushed down. This works pretty awesome. Okay, here it comes. Okay, let's see if it also self-returns nicely. Okay, all looking good. It's on the way back up. Okay, this is also now flush here with the moss, just as I wanted it to be. And that's exactly 1 chest worth of podzol. Alright, so 1 slot filled. We got space for 19 more. So this, well, definitely dominates our area here. I actually thought the tree farms were huge, but this is just so much larger. 120 blocks high. But it was a lot of fun, but I was grinding for 3 days straight. Okay, I actually kind of want to get the video out today. It would take a couple hours to fill up everything. Let's maybe just do a time lapse the beginning of the next episode. Okay, then, oh, it's dead. Oh, just a cat spawned. Really up there from the villagers? Interesting. Okay, but I think they also despawn again, so it should be fine. Alright, so yeah. Let's check the inventory. We're definitely getting saplings from this as well. Last chamber here should work. Yeah, stone is getting pushed in. So everything looks quite well. I still actually need to make a couple things here spawn proof. Completely kind of forgot that we actually have a slime farm here. And I might have built parts of the system here inside of a slime chunk. So in case you want to run our slime farm now, then we need to worry about spawn proofing like the moss blocks here on the side. No, actually they couldn't really spawn there. Just got blocks on the side. But yeah, I've been really a bit careless when it comes to spawn proofing. Might not be the best idea to have the mob farms with all the other stuff. Yeah, anyway, so it was a lot of fun making this. Something I had on my bucket list for quite a while. And I haven't even talked about it. You could even expand this block storage even further. So basically, once we got a couple of those cells here filled up with a chest worth of cubes, we could technically also have a flying piston wall pushing everything to the side, and then have another flying piston wall, which would be like 100 by 100, pushing it to this side, and then we could store millions of blocks. But of course, this would have been way too much work for the Skyblock world, and to be honest, I actually don't even need it. But you might remember on SciCraft, we once built a gold cube that was 100 by 100 by 100 blocks, so 1 million blocks. We could have, back then we built it actually by hand, we could have used the machine for this as well. If you had the technology back then already. So that's kind of something that interests me. I might make a separate video about an even larger block storage that will also be released on my channel soon. Yeah, definitely not something I want to build, but in creative there shouldn't be too much effort now to put together. We just need the flying piston wall here on the side. Okay, but yeah, that's it for today. Thanks guys for watching. I think I'm still stuck here in the tree farm. Yeah, hope you enjoyed, and see you next time. Bye bye!